Dave Aronberg is a Florida state attorney, and he joins us live. Dave has been following this case closely. As always, good to see you, Dave. First of all, did prosecutors present a strong enough case in the eyes of the judge based on what you saw today?
Hi, Marnie. Yes, and then some, because all they need to meet is a lowered burden of just proving probable cause. Then it goes to the next round. You see, they don't have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. But the district attorney wanted to make sure that she covered all her bases and gave more evidence than I think she needed to give. She may even have tipped off the defense more than she needed to, but she didn't want to leave anything to chance here. So there's plenty of evidence to go to trial here. I even thought that there was enough evidence they provided here to show the parents were guilty beyond any reasonable doubt.
Well, let me ask you this, though, Dave, because certainly it would be hard to find anybody who would argue that the parents didn't have a moral obligation to step in and do something based on the evidence that we know at this point. But what is their legal obligation to step in and do something?
Under Michigan law, they had no legal obligation to secure the weapon, but they still have an obligation to take care of their child, to make sure that their child, who they knew was a ticking time bomb, did not do something like this. And it's one thing to say, well, you can't blame them for enabling them, but they did more than that. They bought him a gun. And then when they were called to the principal's office, they did not let the principal or the staff know that they had bought him a gun. They didn't ask to search his book bag. And when the school staff asked the parents to take Ethan Crumbley home, the parents said no. And that's when he went back to class and the tragedy ensued. So there's plenty here to warrant the district attorney's decision to make the unprecedented step of holding the parents liable for their child's actions when it comes to a school shooting.
I guess what I'm saying, and I'm certainly not trying to defend the indefensible here, but if they did not break the law and they weren't legally obligated to do something, how does that play out in court? How can you prosecute them legally for a crime of involuntary manslaughter?
When it comes to involuntary manslaughter, under the law of Michigan, you need to show gross negligence. So it's more than the simple negligence you have in a civil case. You have to show something greater than that, a level of criminal negligence to the point of recklessness. And I think that is what happened here. I mean, here's a child who was torturing animals, who the mother knew that she had a troubled son. She confided with her friend who took the stand today. And so they were on notice. In fact, when the child was reported to the school for looking up ammunition on his phone, she said, LOL, I'm not mad at you, just don't get caught. So I think they did cross the line. Even though they don't have a responsibility to lock up their weapon under Michigan law, they still had a responsibility to take due care of their child and not act in a grossly negligent way that would cause something like this to happen.
Well, then would the same be true for the school? Because if, in fact, they had this meeting with school officials and they parted ways, in the end, Ethan went right back to class, and then what happened happened. Could the school also be found grossly negligent in not doing more? Couldn't the school have called police?
Yes, they could have. And I think the school is going to be sued many times over civilly. But the difference between the school's civil liability and the parents' criminal liability is the knowledge of the gun. The parents knew that Ethan had access to a gun because they bought him the gun. The school did not. They knew he was going to shoot at a range, perhaps with his mother, but they didn't know that Ethan had a gun that his parents bought him and that he could have had it that day. The parents knew because they bought him the gun, and they had every opportunity to ask him about the gun, to check his book bag, to take him home, and they refused. And so that's the difference, I think, between criminal liability and the school's civil liability.
And that argument will play out in court because the defense is saying the parents are telling us he didn't have easy access to the gun. So how do they prove that? I mean, ultimately, he got the gun.
And that's it, Marnie. The fact is he got the gun. So the parents could say, yes, we locked it up in a secure safe and with lasers pointed at it, but yeah, he got it. So obviously it wasn't that secure. And they should never have bought him a gun to begin with. He was bragging about it on social media. I mean, their own text messages and social media posts are going to come back to haunt them. I mean, a lot of this case is just their own words. And so these parents were negligent in everything they did, even to the point where he was alone in a cell. And what did the parents do? They fled because that's the way they treated him. When he was crying out for help for some time, they LOL'd him. They obviously didn't care much about their son. And even after he was charged with a crime, they made sure that the parents, had a private defense lawyer. But when it came to their son, he got a public defender.
The other thing, Dave, that stood out to me, the mom was the focus of today's hearing. The evidence laid out, the text messages between the mom and Ethan. There wasn't a whole lot of mention of Ethan's dad, only this 911 call that he made. Is there a scenario where one parent could be charged with involuntary manslaughter and the other would not?
Well, it could be a scenario where one of them is found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and the other is found not guilty. And don't count on the parents to testify against each other because they have a spousal privilege against having to turn evidence against each other. So it'll be interesting. I do think they either are found guilty or not guilty together. I don't see a jury separating the two because, look, parenting is a tough thing to do. You do it together, but the facts here are so egregious. We haven't seen it in any other case like this, which is why I think in this case, both parents are likely to be found guilty. But yeah, you raise a good point. If any of the two parents is more culpable, it does seem to be the mother.
Well, we're going to be following it closely. Dave, as always, good to talk to you. Thanks for your insight.
Thank you, Marnie.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.